Hare Krishna. We are in the 4th chapter of Bhagwat Gita as it is, and the name of this chapter is Transcendental Knowledge, which means the knowledge of the Absolute Supreme Lord Krishna. Before we start today's verse number 19, let us try to understand that after all, why is Krishna telling us all this do's and don'ts? And what is Krishna going to gain if we follow his instructions? So first of all, we must know that Krishna is our eternal parent and he is unable to see our pitiable condition that each one of us are suffering here. Someone is suffering physically, someone is suffering mentally, emotionally, and someone is suffering financially. This is why Krishna has given us Bhagwat Gita, so that we can understand what kind of work we should do, and while doing our work, we don't get entangled in the reactions of our own work. It is for sure that each one of us are working day and night, but we really don't know what kind of work we should be doing. So Krishna is telling us. And why is Krishna saying? Krishna is so kind, loving, caring and merciful that he has sent us the best teacher, that is our Srila Prabhupada, who is explaining to us word by word as it is, as it was spoken by Krishna 5,000 years ago in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And Srila Prabhupada says that if only we understand the feelings of Krishna, then we will be able to understand and follow the words of Krishna. And the words of Krishna is in Bhagavad Gita. Now let us read the verse number 19, and then we will understand this verse very nicely by reading the purport of Srila Prabhupada. Yasya sarve samarambha काम संकल्प वर्जिताः ज्ञान अग्नि दग्ध कर्माणं तमाहु पंडितं बुधाः यस्य सर्वे समारंभाः काम संकल्प वर्जिताः ज्ञान अग्नि दग्ध कर्माणं तमाहु पंडितं बुधाः. Yasya, one whose, sarve, all sorts of, samarambhaah, in all attempts, kam, desire for sense gratification, sankalp, determination, varjitaah, are devoid of, gyan, of perfect knowledge, agni, fire, dagdha, being burnt by, karmanam, the performer, tam, him, ahu, declare, panditam, learned, buddhaah, those who know. Krishna says, one is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every act is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker whose fructive action is burned by the fire of perfect knowledge. Krishna says, Jnana Agni Dagdha Karmanam Tamahu Panditam Buddhaah. One is understood to be in full knowledge whose every act is devoid of desire for sense gratification. Kam Sankalpa Varjitaah. And he is said by the sages, Tamahu Panditam Buddhaah, to be a worker whose fructive action is burnt up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Jnana Agni Dagdha Karmanam. Now let us read Srila Prabhupada's purport to have a better understanding of this very important shloka. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavon ki jai, Sabhi Acharyon ki jai. Srila Prabhupada says, only a person in full knowledge can understand the activities of a person in Krishna consciousness, because the person in Krishna consciousness is devoid of all kinds of sense gratificatory propensities. It is to be understood that he has burned up the reactions of his work by perfect knowledge of his constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada further says he is actually learned who has attained to such perfection of knowledge, and development of this knowledge of the eternal servitorship of the Lord is compared to fire, and such a fire, once kindled, can burn up all kinds of reactions to work. Srila Prabhupada's purport, sentence by sentence. Prabhupada says that only a person in full knowledge can understand the activities of a person in Krishna consciousness. By this, Srila Prabhupada means to say that in this material world, everyone has to do his work for the maintenance of himself and his family. So now let us try to understand this by an example where two people are working, say A and B. A is working very hard to look after himself and his family, and B is also working very hard, but for the pleasure of Krishna. Now let us try to understand the difference in the intentions of A and B. A is working hard for his sense gratification, or we can say for his own happiness, because he wants to have a comfortable house, a comfortable living style, good clothes, and good food for himself and for his family members' enjoyment. Whereas B also has a house and family, but he doesn't earn and maintain his house for his own comfort or for the family members' happiness. Rather, he maintains the house thinking that this house is Krishna's house, and treats all his family members as Krishna's children, and with the help of whom he serves Krishna in a very nice way. When we see the example of A and B doing their work and maintaining their house, looking after their family members, externally it seems to be the same. But there is a huge difference in the intentions of A and B, which can be understood only by a person in full knowledge in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means having the knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and we are the part and parcel, and our real identity is to be the eternal servant of Krishna. Jiver Swarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. And with this knowledge, when a person does his prescribed duties, he is Kam Sankalp Varjita. Kam means desires, and this is exactly what Krishna wants us to become, Kam Sankalp Varjita, because by leaving all desires of sense gratification, we free ourselves from the bondage of karma. But usually people do all work with Kam Sankalp Sahit, which means having desires for one's own happiness and not caring for Krishna's happiness. Srila Prabhupada says that no person can ever be without desires Or we can say that to become desireless is not possible at all. Because having no desires means a dead person, which is like a stone. So, desires are always going to be there in every person. The only difference is this, that whether he has the desire to please Krishna or he wishes to make himself happy superficially. And this stage is attained only when a person has burnt all his desires of sense gratification in the fire of knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And such a person is actually learned who has attained the perfection of knowledge, and he is addressed as Pandit by the Sadhu Purush or real learned people. Srila Prabhupada very openly and clearly says that we are not here to satisfy the crowd, but we are here to satisfy Krishna and give Krishna to the crowd. And when Krishna is satisfied, then the whole crowd will be satisfied. Tasmin tushte jagat tushtam. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna is the root cause of all the causes. And when the root of a tree is watered properly, then the entire tree becomes green and healthy. But this requires a little intelligence to understand and believe that all work should be done for the happiness of Krishna. And by doing so, everyone automatically will surely become happy and satisfied. But to find such a person in society is very rare. In Bhagwat Gita, chapter number 7, shlok number 19, Krishna says, Hunam janmanamante jnanavanam prapadyate vasudevah sarvam iti samahatma sudurlabhah. Krishna very clearly says that after many, many births and deaths, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. Jnanvanam prapadyate. Vasudeva sarvam iti, knowing me to be the cause of all causes. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. And such a great soul is very rare. Now let us understand that why is Krishna saying that to find such a person is very rare. It is because majority of people are engaged in doing all kinds of work with or without the sanction of the scriptures, only for either their own happiness or the happiness of their family members, or maybe for society or nation at a large. But any work which is done in this material world, which is not for the pleasure of Krishna, is sure to bind the doer with the reactions of the work. In the previous shloks, we have properly understood what is karma, what is vikarma, and what is akarma. Karma means all the work which is done in accordance with the scriptures, but it has the desires to enjoy the fruits. Vikarma means doing opposite of the sanction of the scriptures, means the work which is prohibited in the scriptures. When a person does, that is vikarma. And not doing one's work is akarma. And one more meaning of akarma is doing everything only for the pleasure of Krishna and not considering oneself as the doer is also akarma. And only very intelligent people know how to work in this material world and not get entangled with the reactions of their actions. Because every work that we do definitely has the reaction. So if we are doing karma with the sanction of the scriptures, but if it has the desire to enjoy the fruits, definitely it entangles the person in good way or bad way, because every work has a good or bad reaction. And Prabhupada says that the people, those who know that one person should only work for the happiness of Krishna, and then he does not get entangled in the reactions of his action, such people are addressed as Pandit. Srila Prabhupada says that Chanakya Pandit says, Matravat pardareshu pardravyeshu loshtravat atmavat sarvabhuteshu yah pashyati sapanditah. Chanakya Pandit says that a person who considers all other women other than his wife as his mother and sees others' money, wealth, and property as garbage on the street, such a person is truly a Pandit or a learned person. This is Chanakya Pandit's words. And in Bhagwat Gita, chapter number 5, shlok number 18, Krishna says, Vidya Vinayam Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastine Shuni Chev Shvapake Cha Panditah Samadarshinaha. It means that the humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater as same, doesn't find any difference in a learned and a gentle Brahmin, or a cow, or an elephant, a dog, or a dog eater. He does not see any difference. This is known as being truly Pandit. Panditah Samadarshinaha. Chapter number 18, shlok number 61. Ishwarah sarvabhutanam riddheshe arjun tishtati. Here Krishna is telling Arjun that he is seated in everyone's heart. Ishwarah sarvabhutanam riddheshe arjun tishtati. Srila Prabhupada says that one who has this knowledge is truly a Krishna conscious person. And once the fire of this knowledge is kindled, it burns all kinds of reactions of the work, all the present reactions and the past reactions. Everything is burnt in the knowledge of the Krishna consciousness, that Krishna is seated in everyone's heart, and one person is the eternal servant of Krishna. This knowledge, when it starts kindling in the heart, it burns all the reactions of the present and the past reactions of all work. Now, in today's shlok, that is verse number 19 of chapter number 4, Krishna says, Gyan Agni Dagdha Karmanam Tamahu Panditam Buddhaha. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna is saying that such a person is called Pandit who has this knowledge that Krishna is seated in everyone's heart and that Krishna is the ultimate proprietor of everything, and everything should be done for the pleasure of Krishna, and by doing so one can be free from all reactions of the work. Srila Prabhupada says that normally the people who are born in Brahmin family are addressed as Panditji, and people who are born in Kshatriya family are addressed as Thakur Sahab. Vaishyas are addressed as Sethji, and Shudras are addressed as Chaudhariji. But the real meaning of Pandit is given by Chanakya Pandit, and in Bhagavad Gita, which says that a person who is fully in Krishna consciousness and does everything for the pleasure of only and only Krishna is truly a Pandit. Panditah Samadarshana. And such a person is always free from all the karmic reactions. Arjun, till the time he was thinking for his own happiness and about going to hell after killing his own kinsmen, he was so sad and was drowned in sorrow that he was unable to perform his prescribed work. But the moment he decided to fight only and only for the happiness of Krishna, then the same Arjun fought with full enthusiasm and did not have to face any consequences of killing his own people. That means he did not have to suffer the reactions of his actions. So now it's absolutely loud and clear that when we do anything for our own happiness, then we get caught in the reactions of the work. But when the same work is done for the happiness of Krishna, as instructed by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, it liberates the doer from all the present as well as the past reactions. And this is the intelligent way of doing the prescribed duties. I am sure we have properly understood today's verse. Yasya sarve samarambha karma sankalpa varjitah means we have to do all our work, but it has to be without the desire of our own happiness. Kam sankalpa varjitah. How we have to do our work? Yasya sarve samarambha. We have to do our work with complete dedication and to please Krishna. And when we do this, what happens? Gyan agni dagdha karmadam. Then our all the reactions, it gets burnt. Why? Because we have the complete knowledge that Krishna is seated in everyone's heart. He is the proprietor of everything, and we are the eternal servant of Krishna. This is our permanent relationship with Krishna. Having this knowledge, a person is called Panditam. Tamahu Panditam Buddha. He is acknowledged by the learned people as Panditam. So it's very, very clear that Krishna is asking us to do our work in an intelligent way so that we do our prescribed duties and yet not get caught in the reactions of our work. I bow down to Srila Prabhupada and my Shiksha Guru, His Grace Hari Mohan Prabhuji, for teaching us the most secretive knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. I bow down to each one of you for listening the Bhagavad Gita shlokas very attentively and with so much of dedication. Now we shall meet the next week, and till then, keep reading the Bhagavad Gita and keep chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.